Today is Tuesday, September 13th, 2016. My name is Edna Sussman. I'm a reference librarian here at the Half Hollow Hills Community Library. We're interviewing John F. Schrank, a Vietnam Air Force veteran, as part of our Veterans Testimonial Project and in collaboration with the Library of Congress's Veterans History Project. Thank you so much, John, for your service and for being here today and participating in our project.
Now I speak?
Sure.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. It's important to pass on the information from a generation that went to war and came home without any support from the community, the family, well, the community and the government.
Absolutely. John, where and when were you born?
I was born in 1948, Floral Park, New York.
And who were your parents and what did they do, occupations?
My father was a butcher.
And his name?
Arthur G. Schrank, and my mother, Marie Teresa Schrank, was a secretary for Sperry Rand.
Mm-hmm. And you had siblings?
I had an older brother. He passed away. He spent 37 years in the Air Force. I have two younger brothers, and they were in the military.
They were in the military. What were their names?
My younger brother is Ray Schrank, and my younger brother is Peter Schrank.
Mm-hmm. And the one that was in the military?
His name was William Schrank.
So what were you doing before you entered the service?
I was in high school. I delivered newspapers by car, and I graduated in June, and the end of July I enlisted.
You enlisted?
Yes.
Now, which branch did you want to serve in and why?
My older brother was in the Air Force. He joined like a year before I did, and he said you get to pick your career. It's a lot better than having somebody, tell you what you're going to be. Mm-hmm. So I enlisted.
Into the Air Force?
Into the Air Force.
Why actually, did you have a low draft number, or why did you want to enlist?
No, I didn't plan on going to college.
Ah, I see.
And I figured it'd give me an opportunity to grow up and learn.
Was Vietnam going on at that time?
Yes.
It was. Now, what happened when you departed for training camp and during your early days of training? Where did you go for basic training?
I went to Amarillo, Texas, and it was flat and hot, and I got along with everybody. It was regimented, which my brother told me. He was giving me details about what it was like.
But was he in the Air Force too?
He was in the Air Force too. Mm-hmm. He enlisted too, because they told him when he went to college that his grades weren't that good, and he enlisted, and the day after he enlisted they told him he made a mistake. His grades were good.
So he stayed in?
Yeah, he got his whole education in the Air Force.
Wow. Do you recall your instructors?
Oh yes, there was Sergeant Myrick. He was a staff sergeant, and above him was a tech sergeant, Peterson.
What were they like?
They were loud, tough, but fair.
Oh, really?
Yes, they were very good.
What were you learning? I mean,
in basic training, you had physical exercises. They taught you first aid. You did obstacle courses, and they got you in shape.
Did you learn any? Did they teach you any specialized after that? Specialized training?
Well, I went to Colorado. I went to Lowry Air Force Base, and that's when I became they trained me on weapons. So I did electrical. I did everything pertaining to the electrical system on an aircraft.
Oh wow! You learned how weapons were used, fired?
No, we learned how they worked.
Oh, I see.
And then later on, they showed us how the Gatling gun worked, and you did circuitry, you did schematics, you did a lot of different things you learned.
Must have been pretty detailed stuff.
Yeah, it was, I think it was a 10-week course, maybe more
Only
than that.
10 weeks?
No, could have been more.
Wow.
It's a long time ago.
So how was it adapting to military life, like the barracks and food and
I enjoyed
social life? Really?
Yeah. In the barracks life, everybody got to know each other. We were all different, but we had one purpose, and that was to help each other, get along, and do our job.
So what year was it when you went into basic training?
1966.
66. And how long?
July, August. I don't remember exactly how long. basic
So
training.
after basic training, and then when you went to Colorado?
I went to Colorado. That was probably 6 months in Colorado, maybe less.
And then right after that, you
I
were?
went to Okinawa,
Uh-huh.
and I served with the 82nd Fighter Interceptor Squadron, and we worked on F-102 aircraft, and
Worked on what?
loaded, practice. We were an interceptor squadron to protect the Pacific area,
Oh, okay.
because we had North Korea, we had China, we had Russia over there. You know, they were all. So we were interceptors, our planes that go up and intimidate the other aircraft, the enemy aircraft.
Were you staying on land or?
Well, it's an island.
Yeah, but I mean, not on you weren't on a boat or
No, it was an island.
aircraft carrier. Or
No,
anything.
that's the Navy. I was Air Force.
Okay, right.
We like the ground.
Right. So you stayed in what they had?
Barracks, concrete barracks,
Oh, okay.
2 stories, and they were nice.
So you served. You were in Okinawa first.
Yeah, 17 months on Okinawa and 2 weeks in the Philippines. We did weapons training for the aircraft pilots, firing their missiles and rockets. And then when the North Koreans stole the spy ship Pueblo, I went from Okinawa to South Korea under the DMZ, south of the DMZ. And the place we landed at was Suwon, which had 6 American advisors there when we landed.
It's not much.
No, we brought in everything we had. We lived in barracks that had no heat, and most of the windows were missing. And within a week, we had it functioning.
Amazing. How long were you there?
A month, a little over a month.
Was that for training again, or?
No, that was to protect the South Koreans from the North Koreans invading, like they did in 1951.
So you still weren't yet in Vietnam?
No.
So then what? After a month there?
I went back to Okinawa, and then I came home for a month,
Oh,
and then I went back to Okinawa, and from Okinawa I left for Vietnam.
so now we're still in 69?
68.
68?
68. In August, I believe, I went to Vietnam. August, yeah.
And once you were there, were you on, what happens when you're in the Air Force? Are you on the front lines? Or?
There's no front lines in Vietnam.
Oh,
What you had, your razor wire on, protected you from the enemy. At night, they had the outside, we had the inside perimeter.
Oh.
That's why you didn't know who the enemy was or where they were, because there was no set lines.
how do you defend yourself with that?
Well, we had 3 rows of razor wire, claymores, trip flares, guard towers.
What's a claymore?
Claymore's a mine you point toward the enemy,
Oh.
and it shoots out BBs.
To
Destroy what's ever in
destroy
front of
what's
you.
out there.
Yeah. And they had dog handlers, which my friend was.
So you had dogs sniffing?
They have around the perimeter.
What kind of combat action goes on there if you're
Inside or outside?
either?
Well, outside we have we had 105 howitzers pointing toward the enemy. We had armored personnel carriers. We had a small army contingent in one of the corners that they had a couple of tanks over there. And we had the Australian Air Force there too. And
Did you went out and always came back to the base, or how?
no,
did that work?
that goes later on. No, I lived inside the base. Most of the times you weren't allowed outside the perimeter because the enemy was in the area, and sometimes you were allowed out. And because like the first few months I was there, it was kind of quiet, and then after that they found out where we were,
And then you had to get rid of them.
and then they started to hit us with mortars and rockets and probing the wires and zapper attacks where they try and get in and blow the aircraft up.
So you didn't feel like a sitting duck? I mean, how do you?
Well, yeah. Well, it was a pretty big place.
Oh yeah.
I got a job at the NCO club. I used to work 12 hours as a weapons mechanic, as I say it. And then the NCO club hired Vietnamese civilians,
What's NCO?
the non-commissioned officer club.
Okay.
And my friend said, why don't you come with us? So we took a test drive. We took a small bus or a truck, and then we left the perimeter like 6 o'clock in the morning or 5:30.
To go where?
Go
Why?
down to Top John or Phan Rang City,
Okay.
pick up the Vietnamese, and then bring them back to the base.
These were friendly
Yes,
Vietnamese?
yes, they were hired by the NCO club.
And what was the plan for them to do?
Well, they worked at the NCO club. They cooked, they baked.
Oh, I see.
They had, it was like a restaurant, the NCO club. They had a bar.
And so did they get paid?
Yes.
And then at the end of the day, you had to bring them back?
I only picked them up in the morning because I worked like from 6 at night, so my friend would drive them back down.
Did they speak English?
Most of them did.
Really?
Broken English are pretty good. And we used to leave the gate. When we got to the main gate to leave, they tell us if it was safe to go out or wait till they got an all clear. Because we carried our M16s and ammunition, bandolier ammunition. And I had a guy that rode shotgun. So, and we
Just
went.
to watch out?
Yeah, and we went pretty fast.
Wow.
Pick them up and then bring them back.
How long a drive was that? You remember?
Probably it took us maybe a half an hour down and a half an hour back. Probably an hour.
That seems kind of dangerous, right? No?
I don't know. We got shot at one time, but
did?
we had
So,
the Arvon too. They were patrolling
The what?
the Arvon, Army of Republic of Vietnam.
Oh.
Their army. They were patrolling the highways every so often.
so that was helping you out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Did you witness a lot of destruction, casualties? And things
Inside
like
the
that?
base, yeah, they hit us pretty good a couple of times.
They did.
Like January 26th,
Of what year do you remember?
69.
Okay.
Yeah, they hit us with mortars, rockets. They tried to probe the perimeter in like 5 different locations.
Wow.
It lasted from, I'd say, maybe 11 o'clock at night to like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. So what eventually was the outcome of that? They finally went away? Or?
They left. Yeah, well, we had Spooky, the gunship, going the perimeter. We had helicopters strafing the perimeter. We had the security police. They were great. I mean, they stopped most
American Air Force?
Yeah,
security?
that's like police, but they call them specialty security police.
I see.
And they did a great job.
So then do you stay there on the base and rebuild it? Or
Well, no,
move?
the base didn't get destroyed.
Oh.
The planes, some of the revetments got destroyed. When they hit you with a rocket, it blows big holes in things and rips things apart. So they come in, they tear the revetment down, they build a new one for the planes. They take the planes and they take them to like the dump.
And you get more planes to replace?
Well, not all the time,
But you needed more.
Well, no, we had, these were F-100s and B-57s. So there were like 4 different squadrons, so everybody had their own planes, but you didn't get replacements usually.
Did service personnel get hurt?
Yeah, shrapnel, mostly shrapnel, because a few of the security police got shot, but most of the damage is done from mortars and rockets, because they never really got too far into the perimeter. So they sent mortars and rockets from different positions. They tried to get to the bomb dump,
Why?
because they blow it up.
Oh,
It's where all the munitions are, the
Oh, I
bombs, the
see.
rockets, the napalm.
live ones.
Yeah,
Ah.
a bomb won't explode unless it's got a fuse in it and detonates, but it'll cook, which means it just blows up
When it's hit.
when it's hit. Yeah. So it's
It
interesting.
must have been hard to sleep. Wasn't it? weren't
During
you
the attack, you didn't sleep.
No, I mean, just in general, you never knew when you were going to be.
No,
attacked.
they had a siren,
Oh,
but a lot of times you could hear the mortar tubes fire. It's like a sound, and then sometimes you can hear the rockets come
the
into
swoosh
you.
of the.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and they got the barracks area one time, but they didn't do too much damage.
Were they really aiming for more of the equipment?
The
and
flight line, they always tried to get the bombers, the
Huh.
fighters.
Not so much the personnel?
No.
Is that normal?
Well, yeah, it's a lot easier to knock out an airplane, and this way the plane doesn't attack them or
Oh, I
drop
see.
the bombs or go after the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
What kind of friendships and camaraderie did you form while serving, and with whom?
Oh, everybody got along. A lot of good friends. Everybody was young. Some different I can't say that.
Ethnicities.
Ethnicities, yeah. So when they got care packages from home, everybody shared what
That's
you
nice.
got,
Yeah, how did you keep in touch with family, or?
Yeah, my fiance mostly.
Yeah.
A lot of letters, tape recordings. Once we had a radio up on a radio station on the hill, and you have to set up an appointment to talk, and you have to wait because you can talk for like 10 minutes, and then they go over,
Yeah.
and then you talk, and then the other person goes over,
Oh,
back and forth.
what do you mean goes? Oh, over. You say
Yeah, you say over, and then the other.
I
There's a
get
guy
it.
in California that flipped a switch, so it would go both ways,
Wow.
which was nice because I think it was all voluntary.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So, so you didn't write letters. You couldn't.
Yes,
Oh,
we
you
wrote
did?
letters. Oh, yeah, a lot of letters.
You did.
Yeah,
And you got mail too?
yeah. We had a post office.
Oh, neat. And so it was via planes or ships, probably.
Yeah, they brought it over by plane usually because you could get it like. It depends. You could get 5 letters at one time and not got any for 2 weeks, and then same with her. She would get the 5 in a row, and then she wouldn't get any for weeks. It depends on, the planes.
It was probably nerve-wracking for family to
Yeah.
be without for a while, but you had no
Yeah.
control over it.
No,
No.
no.
So, I mean, were you ever injured during any of these?
I had my foot smashed by a machine gun barrel. We were loading machine gun barrels, and I got that. And then I got a small piece of shrapnel in my hand. Little tiny piece.
So what happens when you're injured? You don't get shipped home?
No, not for minor things like that. I didn't know it was in there. When I got hit, it was just like a couple of blood drops.
Oh.
And I didn't even know it was in there until a couple of months later when I
Are you
started feeling
kidding?
it. Yeah.
Really? So then what? They had.
They just took it out,
They did.
and that was it.
And what
Put a
about-
Band-Aid on it.
Really?
Yeah.
What about your foot?
That was a different story.
How did that happen?
We were unloading machine gun barrels out of their tubes, and they weighed probably about 30 pounds.
Wow.
And the lip caught the table, and usually you just pull it out then. This one hit the table and flew out, and it got me right behind the steel toe.
Wow.
And I went to the dispensary, and the doctor there said it wasn't broken, it was just swollen. And 40 years later, I found out I fractured 2 bones in there
At that time?
at that time.
Oh. Well,
So-
didn't you take an x-ray?
Yeah, they said nothing. They took an x-ray, and I went back the next day when it was swollen, and the doctor started yelling at me to get out of here because he thought I was trying to get out of work.
How could you walk on it?
It was swollen for probably 3 weeks, maybe longer.
Were
I
you?
didn't lace up my boot that tight because I couldn't.
Yeah. And it just healed itself?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I went for the VA for my workman's CMP hearing, and the guy took
CMP.
his compensation and payment for injuries, and the guy said, "Yeah, you fractured it."
Wow.
So
I can't imagine walking if you fractured in 2 places. And that was during combat?
that was in
I mean,
Vietnam. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, after you fractured it, you still had to carry
Yeah,
on
I
all
still
your
do all
duties.
my. Yep.
And
It's a different generation back then. We all, even if you got hurt, you still worked because everybody depended on everybody else to
Yeah.
make sure the job was done.
did you keep in touch with any of those guys you were with?
Since then, we tried to find a lot of them, and we couldn't. I mean, everybody moves, phone numbers change. But when I came back from Vietnam, and I was driving to California, we stopped at one of my good friends in Colorado, and we hung out for a day, and
That's
then
nice.
I had to go back to California. But people disappear. They change their addresses. You know them by their nicknames, so you couldn't really keep track, and everybody moved,
I heard that before, that you kind of had, everybody had a nickname, because if, God forbid, something happened,
Yeah.
it was less of an attachment or something?
Yeah,
Is
they
that
say
true?
that, but I mean, the nicknames were kind of
It was just
funny.
fun.
Yeah.
Like buddy.
Yeah.
Did you lose friends?
Yes, I lost 2, but not where I was. One was up in Quezon, the other was down in the Delta, and there's a few other friends that I knew from high school in the neighborhood.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you have any time you said you went home for a month. Did you have any time to leave and go into the town, or would you want to have done that?
In
In Vietnam, yeah.
I went to the town once. I bought some souvenirs, but I used to go to the town every day when I was driving the bus because we stopped in
Oh,
the middle of the
okay.
marketplace
Yeah.
to pick up a few of the people that live there.
But it wasn't a recreational trip.
No, I wanted to get back inside the
It
wire.
was safer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
What did you do for recreation?
Let's see, we had the beach, so
Oh, you're near the beach?
I was a couple of miles from the beach. It was along the coast. So I had Mondays off. The other days I worked 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. And we used to go to the beach, and they had beer, and you can go in the water. They had the guard towers around, and it was a small harbor where they used to unload the bombs from the freighters. And the Australians brought in a speedboat and water skis,
Wow.
but I never tried it. But it was nice. You could spend a day at the beach. It was relaxing.
Yeah.
Have a couple of beers, then go back. And,
You went with a bunch of other.
oh yeah, you always go with a bunch of people.
Yeah. Water was warm.
Oh, you could float, and it was so salty that you couldn't sink.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And warm enough.
Very warm.
I guess is it always warm over there?
Yeah, because the sun is out almost all the time.
Must have been hard to sleep when it's so hot. You didn't have
Well,
air
I
conditioning.
slept during the day and I worked at night.
Oh, so it's a little cooler.
Well, yeah, we our barracks was 2-story with just the vents for windows. You know,
2-story of beds.
no, well, bunks, yes,
Bunks.
but the buildings they built before I got there was lucky. It was a 2-story building,
Ah.
and they had sandbags around the bottom and a bunker outside.
Why was it two? What was on the 2 stories?
That's
More,
right.
more bunks.
Yeah, more bunks, more.
Oh, I see.
Each outfit had their own barracks area.
How
You know,
many men were there?
in our barracks?
Yeah.
60 maybe,
No, in the whole base there were a lot
a
more.
couple of thousand.
That big.
Yeah.
So
I have a picture of them. I should have brought it.
wow, each barrack had their own, dining hall or
No, we had a mess hall.
that's all.
Then you go there to eat, which I appreciated every meal that they served, which
Really?
was nice. Yeah.
So you had Americans cooking and doing
Oh
all
yeah,
that.
they had Vietnamese working on base too in the mess hall, but you know, supposedly they were the good people.
Yeah. You hope.
Yeah.
Did you have any experience at somewhere?
No, they said one time that one of the barbers were a Viet C,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know if that proved out or not.
Oh, okay. Huh. How did they pick Vietnamese to work
I guess
there?
they go through an interrogation process, you know, where they ask
Oh,
you
yeah.
questions and you know.
So you weren't hospitalized when you were injured at all?
No.
Where were you when the war? When did you leave Vietnam? What year?
August 69, August 24th, 1969.
Was not by far not over yet.
No,
So-
no. When you went to Vietnam, a lot of units, some went over as full units, others you got replacements. So everybody came at a different time. So people left at different times, so you couldn't always keep track of people.
So when you left, you'd been there a year,
Yeah, yeah,
about a
one
year?
full year.
1 full year, and then when you came home, you were done. That was the end of your
No,
service
I got married. I was in California. I went home and got married, and then
to New York.
Yeah, and then we drove back to California, and I spent the last 9 months in George Air Force Base.
Okay, to finish this year.
Finish my, because they wanted me to stay in Vietnam for another 6 months, and I'd get an early out, but I didn't want to stay another.
You had the option to say no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You can volunteer to stay in for another 6 months.
Why would
and
anyone want to do that?
get out early?
Oh,
See, I only had 9 months to go, so 6 more months in Vietnam would have meant only 3 months early out.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, some people took it, you know.
It's kind of risky.
Yeah. So I got married, and my other friend got married, and he re-enlisted, and they sent him right back to Vietnam.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
wow. After he was married.
after he was married, after he did one tour in Vietnam, they sent him back.
Did he make it out okay?
Yeah, as far as I know, he did. I mean,
That's good.
you lose track of people
Yeah.
because there's so many over there at the time, and they send you to different places.
So did you end up living in California then?
Yeah.
After you were married?
Yeah.
What did you do there?
I was still in the Air Force. So I worked on F-4 Phantoms,
Uh-huh.
and we were training pilots to go to Vietnam in the F-4 Phantom.
And how long did you stay in the Air Force?
Yeah, the rest of the 9 months, it was only 4 years that I spent in there.
Okay. So after that was done, your Air Force was done, then what?
We drove back to New York,
Okay.
and I tried getting a job at like Republic Airport or Grumman, and they weren't hiring. So my dad was a butcher, and he said, you can have a job.
Oh, nice.
He had a good business. He had a nice house, and he worked hard.
Where was this?
This was in Hempstead, Uniondale.
Oh, yeah.
Back in 1970, I started working, and it was good. So I stayed a butcher
For how long?
up until the last couple of months ago.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Nice.
46 years.
So you kind of took over the family business
No,
after
it was
a
the
while?
family business ended when we got put out of business by the landlord.
Oh,
Then I worked in Forest Pork Store, a high-end kosher place.
Mm-hmm.
Then I worked I drove a bus for 6 months when I got laid off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I worked in a supermarket for the last 6 years.
and now you're retired?
I am on workman's comp.
Oh, okay, good.
So that's semi-retired.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I had enough.
Yeah, you really put in a lot of work. How was it when you returned home? How did your family receive you from being in
Well,
Vietnam?
my mother and father, they were glad to see me. My fiance was enthusiastic.
Yeah.
It was quite interesting. I mean, and you meet your friends that you knew before you went, and they seemed like immature. You know, you want to go to the park and play handball. You want to hang out. It's like,
You're an adult at this point now.
grew up fast.
You grew up fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a staff sergeant when I got out, which is pretty unusual back then for less than 4 years in the military, in the Air Force,
Really?
to become a staff sergeant. Yeah.
Huh. So when you went in, what are you?
Nothing.
Huh? What was your type? I mean,
Airman Basic, I think they called us
Yeah,
back
okay.
then. Then you became Airman First Class, Airman Second Class. Then I became sergeant on Okinawa, and then I became a staff sergeant.
so you were promoted quick.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was good
You
at
saw a
what I
good
did.
thing.
I was good at what I did. I could fix airplanes. I could load them fast.
Yeah. How did they determine who gets promoted? What for? What reason?
Well, they have criteria. How your performance is. I mean, it was good because I knew my job. I knew it well. I knew a lot of the aircraft manuals. I could fix them fast. I could figure out the problems, and I was good.
So each time someone gets promoted, there's like an increase in pay.
Right.
Okay.
Back then, it wasn't much.
Sure.
No, I don't think it was much at all.
But more work, more responsibility.
Oh yeah, I became a crew chief. I used to supervise 3 younger guys than I was, and we used to load the bombs and rockets
Oh, wow.
on the aircraft and do the Gatling guns.
Wow. Huh. How was it readjusting to civilian life when you came back?
For me, it wasn't that hard
Really?
because I was married, my
Yeah.
wife was pregnant, and I had a job, and I wanted to get on with my life.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't talk about Vietnam that much
Then-
because a lot of people didn't want to hear it, didn't care.
Yeah.
So the only person you talked about Vietnam was somebody that was there.
Huh.
You know, because they understood.
Wasn't it hard? Did you want to talk about it?
A little bit, I'm the kind of person that doesn't let too much in. You know, it's my little wall. So I talked to a few people about it.
Well, it wasn't. I guess if you have a job and a family starting, you move on.
Yes.
But that must have been hard too, remembering what you went through. No,
No, not that hard because I forgot a lot of it.
really.
And as you get older, your brain doesn't suppress it as good as it used to. So you start having feelings and flashbacks and different things. But when you're young, you keep on going
Yeah.
and things don't bother you.
Now, I asked you already if you remained in contact, but it was hard.
It was. We just found one guy that I was stationed with on Okinawa for a year and a half, and then him and I shared the bunks, the barracks in Vietnam.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
and we just found him a couple of weeks ago, and he's moving to Virginia. So next time we go down south, we're going to stop and see him.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Good friends.
Nice.
Him and I worked hard together.
Very nice. So, how do you think your wartime experiences affected your life?
I'm very responsible for my actions. I try and take care of other people. I work hard at what I do, and
That came from
from the
being
military. Yeah, being responsible is the biggest thing
Really,
because you're responsible for yourself and for others.
that's amazing because you go in so young, and at that age, a lot of kids aren't that responsible. So you learned quick, I guess.
Yeah, my wife got me a shirt. It says, got a map of Vietnam, and it says, I grew up in a tough neighborhood.
Wow, that's cute. Wow.
Yep, she was good.
Was there anything when you were over there you did that you regretted?
No, no, I did the best I could.
Yeah.
Even more so, a lot of guys gave more than, if what they were required to do, they did more.
They did more.
Yeah, they worked extra hours, in the hot sun or at night when the enemy's trying to...
I guess everyone feels they're watching out for each other.
Yeah.
And the more
Yeah.
you do, the better it'll be for the next guy.
That's it.
Amazing. How has your military service impacted your feelings about war and the military in general?
That's a good question. Unfortunately, in the world it is today, war is necessary. Nobody wants to go to fight, but with all the problems in the world today, you have to defend your country, you have to defend your allies, and you don't just pull out and walk away, and they did that in Vietnam and Afghanistan. So you can't just do that.
Well, what message would you like to leave for future generations who might view this interview or hear it?
This is the greatest country in the world. We have to maintain our military, keep it strong, be vigilant, and take care of each other.
That's good. Good lessons. Is there anything you feel we haven't discussed or you'd like to add? Anything that comes to mind at any period of your time?
I enjoyed the military.
You did?
Yes, I did. I learned a lot. I became a grown-up very fast. I like working with different people because we all got along. We all took care of each other.
Now, did you have the option after 4 years to stay
Yes.
longer?
Yes, to
And-
re-enlist.
Re-enlist?
No, but if I knew I wasn't going back to Vietnam, maybe, because I just got married. Who wants to?
Right.
Maybe I would have stayed in. My older brother did 37 years in.
Wow.
He went in as an airman, and he retired as a lieutenant colonel.
So he's a life military.
Yeah.
Was he sent there again?
No. He went to England, the States, Washington, the Pentagon. He went to South Korea in Seoul, which was a good tour. He was there for a while. My father was drafted in the Army.
He was?
Yeah, he was born in Germany and came to this country when he was 7, and he went back for the Normandy invasion.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Really? Huh. Wow. You have a good family history
Yeah.
of service.
Yeah, my wife's uncle did World War II, Korea, 2 tours Vietnam. I had a cousin that did Vietnam twice.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And your dad, when did he get out? Do you know?
1945 he got out.
Oh, just towards the end.
The war was finished.
It was finished.
He was out. Yeah, he went from France, Belgium, Holland, and Germany.
Wow. How long was he in?
4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 years.
He's not alive anymore.
No, he passed away a few years ago.
I'm sorry. Would have liked to meet him.
Yeah, he was a good man.
Okay, anything else you'd like to add or you can think of that happened over there or that you'd want to share
I think
or that
that's
we
about-
missed?
No, I
Anything
think
we
we
missed?
covered just about everything.
Thanks, John.
Oh yeah, Agent Orange.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people leave that out. I have a shirt that says, "Don't worry, it only kills plants." It's orange, but they used a lot of it over there.
While you were there?
Yeah.
Where you were?
Yeah, because if you look at the picture of the base, it's not too green, but the surrounding away from the base, it was green. The mountains were green.
Wow.
Yeah, they sprayed the perimeter. They sprayed inside the perimeter.
Ooh. So you got,
I got sprayed.
Sprayed?
I got spots. I've got some
Really?
symptoms from Agent Orange.
no kidding.
Yeah, so
Wow. That's awful.
yeah,
I mean, I've heard too, since they did that, your water was contaminated.
everything was contaminated because they sprayed the river. They sprayed the jungle, which ran the water ran into the river, and they had the pumping station where they pumped water into the base.
There's no way to avoid
No,
not being
no,
exposed.
because you didn't know exactly what it was. You knew they were spraying a defoliant, but you didn't know dioxin which is 2,4,5-T, which is the most toxic poison on the planet.
Wow, wow. And why did they do that?
To defoliate the jungle so the enemy wouldn't have a place to hide.
Ah,
And they did it to keep vegetation away from the perimeter, so they had a free fire zone.
so were you close to I guess the whole thing is
They
jungle.
sprayed inside the base also. I mean,
Why?
to keep the vegetation down, to kill the weeds.
Oh, I
So,
see.
yeah.
So no one could hide.
Not even, no, inside the base, yeah, just to keep the weeds down. And
Oh.
then they sprayed, like for mosquitoes too. But they had these big trucks with fans on the back.
That sprayed.
That sprayed.
Did you have to get did they have shots then for malaria or anything? I mean, mosquitoes over there?
We took a bunch of pills. I remember
You
taking
did?
salt tablets and getting your shots before you got there.
Really?
But malaria, I don't remember taking anything for it.
But they gave you shots before you went.
Oh, yeah. You had to keep a shot record. Even when I went to Okinawa, when you went in the service, you got your line of shots. And then when you went to different countries, you also got extra
More.
shots. Yeah.
Did they not realize what Agent Orange could do?
They did, but they were making Dow Chemical and Diamond Shamrock were the companies that manufactured a lot of it, but they also manufactured, and they were making a lot of money. They had problems with their employees that were getting rashes on their faces and blisters.
Well, it's horrible to ask, but
There's no cure for it.
yeah, how come that wasn't
Because
tested?
they were making money. That was the war. Was a lot of. Look how long it went on for. Look how much money they made.
Yeah, but what if they didn't use it there? Would it have been really?
They had other defoliants. There was Agent Yellow, Agent White, that didn't have dioxin in it, but the oxin was better.
Worked
at
better on the-
defoliation. Used to have the planes fly over,
Uh-huh.
and spray would come out of it.
You saw it.
Yeah, they did the perimeter, and also the trucks they had with spraying the things down.
Does it smell? Could you smell?
Not really.
Huh.
But I remember the water that we got, we had like gallon jugs. We used to fill it up.
Where did they get the water from? Where'd you get the water
The
from?
river.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and my fiance used to send me grape Kool-Aid, which was great because it would.
Mask the taste.
Sometimes you had to put the purification tablets in the water just to kill the bacteria.
Oh, God.
So
Wow.
that would kill the taste of the chlorine.
Wow. When you came home, when most guys came home, they didn't notice any. Nobody knew
No.
about it then.
No, it wasn't popular and started coming out in the 70s.
That it had effects. I mean.
It had effects on different people. They did surveys.
I mean, even people have had the children they had sometimes had either
Birth
miscarriage
defects.
or birth defects or
Birth
something.
defects, a lot of birth defects.
Yeah, terrible. I'm glad you're okay.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for your service and for sharing with us. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much for having me.
Thank you. And for all the pictures. Thank you.
I have more, but I didn't want to bring it.
Thank you so much.